Hey everyone, I'm here with another knife review for you. Today I want to show you the newest release from Reate. It is their District 9 Plus. Really cool knife. I got this directly from David in China. He shipped this to me really quick. I think I got it in like 2 weeks. Thank you, David. I contacted him directly. He was very quick and responsive and got this right over to me. I just kind of took my sweet time getting this on the review table. I'm still trying to set up. I just moved and trying to set up a good spot to film. My lighting still sucks, as you can probably tell. Sorry about that. I will get it fixed. But yeah, I'm glad I kind of took my time, because it's always good when you spend a little more time with a knife in hand, in the pocket, in use, seeing it in action. You just learn a little bit more about it and might have a little bit more insight for my viewers. So this again is the Plus version. They've had two other versions of the District 9. They've had the A Alpha and the B Bravo. Now the main differences between those, I have one other here. This is the District 9B, and as you can see, it has a Tanto blade, and the blades are the main difference. These both have the same milling design or pattern, if you will, in the handle. The District 9A has a drop point blade and has a little bit different milling in the handle. It's kind of thinner lines or grooves like this, and they run more of the full length of the handle, and there's several of them. But I'll do more comparisons in a little bit. The District 9 Plus also has a new, different blade. I would kind of call it it's more of a bowie, kind of like a pseudo harpoon design. And I think it's the most attractive blade that they've had yet from the District 9 variants. The District 9 knife, I think, was one of the first models that Reate came out with. Actually, I don't even know if they were called Reate when they first came out with that. I started seeing them on, I think, what was it, Arizona Custom Knives or something like that, and they had a different logo, and they had like a spring clip. Everything else was pretty much the same though. And they do some custom versions, and they'd upcharge a little bit to give you blades that were hand ground and stuff like that. But it really got a lot of praise. The fit and finish, the design, the lockup, it was very unique. It was aesthetically pleasing to most. And it was definitely a big, robust tank of a knife. So if you're looking for something like that, this might fit the bill. And this particular model might fit the bill even more, because it's a bit more refined. Hence the name, appropriately named Plus, District 9 Plus. So, pardon me. They have two versions of this model, two variants, I guess, of this version. They have both with a dark acid stonewash, kind of like an apocalyptic finish on the handle, and that's everything on the handle. Even the back spacer, the titanium back spacer, the sculpted or machined titanium pocket clip, it's all that same finish. And then the blade, and on this one, I went with the dark stonewash on the blade as well. And it looks really cool. Probably if my lighting didn't suck, you'd get a better look of how that actually came out. But yeah, it looks really good. The other version is just a regular stonewash finish with the same looking handle. So it has more of a finish like this. You just take a satin blade, you stonewash the hell out of it. Looks good. I just figured everybody else was going to get that one, and I didn't really have anything that was a full dark acid stonewash on a knife. And this is something that's great for a user blade. It really shows, not shows, it hides the wear and tear on your knife a lot better. So another thing that they did that's different with this version of the District 9 is they contoured the handles, and that really caught my attention. I was really excited to see that. As you can see on the other one, it is not contoured. They just put some bevels, some angles in there, So it's a bit more blocky. Like I said, it's a bit more refined on this one. I really like that. Pretty cool. Also, you might be able to catch the edge of that. They milled out the inside quite a bit. On the other side, the whole length of the handle, the whole entire handle is all milled out. And it saved just a little bit over an ounce. This is, let's see, the new one is 6.55 ounces, and the District 9 Bravo is 7.7 ounces. So yeah, over an ounce in weight savings just by doing that. Milling on the inside, that's going to have the biggest impact, and then yeah, contouring might take off a little bit of material, but it's more the milling that did that. That's not where they stopped. They kept on refining. They actually, I really like that they did this. They beveled out or put a chamfer, pardon me, on the inside of the lock bar. As you can see, they don't have that here, and that is quite uncomfortable when you're disengaging the lock bar, especially if you're doing it over and over and over. This does have, it's a large knife, okay, so it's a 3 3/4 inch blade, okay, pretty wide. I mean, you're looking at the widest point, yeah, pretty much 1 1/4 inches width on that blade. So it's a pretty big blade. 3 3/4 inch blade. The overall length of the knife when open is almost 8 3/4 inches. And you're looking at closed about 5 inches. So big knife, closed on the widest point here. An inch, a little over 1.5 inches. Yeah, at the widest. So pretty big. One thing I was curious to do, I'm going to take out the calipers, not to bore you guys too much. I just haven't done this yet. It looked to me that the actual pivot wasn't quite as wide. In other words, it seems like the collar that they used maybe didn't stand up as tall, so that the distance from point to point on the pivot screw was a little more narrow. At least that's what it seems like. So let me find out. There we go. All right. So on the Plus, we're looking at 7.7 or 0.771, and on the District 9B, 0.824. So yeah, it's definitely more narrow overall. So and I know it really does feel more comfortable. The new Plus, it feels more comfortable in the pocket. So that's pretty cool. So just those little details that really make it really smooth. They do have the steel lock bar insert on all the models, which is great, held in by these 2 screws here. They all come with ball bearings. It's a very smooth action. The other models, and maybe even the Plus without the dark stonewash, might be a lot smoother, but the older models are really smooth. The actions are buttery, just gorgeous. So yeah, just very much more noticeable on how smooth that action is in comparison, but that's kind of a no-brainer. Still very good action on this, but when you have a coating on a blade, you're going to get some resistance, some friction. You might even be able to hear it. Right? And here, on this one, I guess you can still hear it. It's just a different tone. But you don't feel it. You don't feel it at all. On this one, it's just a little bit more resistance, but still very smooth. No complaints at all. But that's just the coating on the blade steel. Those ball bearings are going to wear through that and put tracks in it more and more as you flip it. And I've already flipped this a bunch. It was actually a lot more stiff when I first got it, and it is breaking in nicely. Very early lockup. It's locking up at about 20%, which is fine by me. It's not too early, and it's steel on steel. I'm not too worried about anything happening like shearing or anything like that. In other words, if there was, for whatever reason, some forward pressure on this blade this way, and you had a lot of pressure coming down on the portion of the lock bar that's engaging with the bottom of the blade tang here. If it's small enough of a lockup, there's very little material connected to the blade there, like you see something like that. If it's titanium, because it's not as strong as the steel, you can actually shear off a piece of that titanium. That's why a lot of manufacturers have gone to steel lock bar inserts for that reason. And other reasons as well, but that's one of them. So I don't really worry about that because it's steel on steel. It's very strong, and it's really not too early anyway. So that's great. It's going to wear really well. Reate's getting their locks right every time. I've never had any knife manufactured by them with a frame lock issue. I love it. So many knife makers get that wrong and they screw up the frame locks. It's easy to do. It's easy to mess up the timing of a lock. So they do this really, really well every time. They hold it in with these two screws. One thing that's different is the steel lock bar insert on this version does not encompass the pivot pin. I'm sorry, the detent ball. The detent ball is actually mounted into the titanium portion of the frame lock bar. Okay, and that's what that hole is right there. You're not going to see that on any of the older versions. The detent ball is actually on the steel lock bar insert. If you look further back in there, that detent ball is sitting, it's all one piece. So if I took out these two screws and took out the steel lock bar insert, I would actually see the detent ball on it, connected to it. And here, that's not the case. Okay, I don't know if you can really see it, but let me see if I can get the angle. No, not really. There is two, just like all of the other ones, there's two over travel prevention methods here. There's a little steel tab that extends past this this cutout here and hits this side, so that way if you try to disengage the lock, it'll stop it. Okay, they have that on this one too, and they also have the over travel disc. Pretty cool what they did with this new one. They made it look like the bottom of a 45 shell case. And I like what they did. They actually, it says D9 for District 9 and then caliber 45. And that's why I chose to put a 45 caliber shell on here on the lanyard. It doesn't really match right now, except for this little part. You can see how it's bright. But the oil's on my skin, and from carrying it, it has a really thick patina over it. But they're actually both copper. So when they match, it looks good. This has normally got that patina on it too, but I've been handling it, so it came off. Looks pretty cool. I love the contrast. So nice little touch they did there too. It comes in and out of the pocket perfect with this pocket clip. Very nice amount of tension. It works really well. Everything else is pretty much the same. You have some really good jimping here. You have some good jimping here. These really aren't all that functional, but I guess, if you were reverse gripping it, it's going to give you some traction. But as always, they have really good jimping on their District 9 models, and it's no different with this one. It's not really deep jimping. It's not overly aggressive. It's kind of, I'm not going to say perfect, but it's close to it. Really, really comfortable. Really works well. All of them have that. So if for whatever reason you're looking at this model and you're considering it and you're saying, I like the other ones better, you're going to have that same awesome jimping on the spine right there on the thumb ramp. But you might not have this blade. If you're liking that blade like I am, and I know a lot of other people will, that's pretty sweet looking. Again, S35VN, that's a good blade steel. They all have that. Big fat foam stud here, that's really just the blade stop. As you can see, it catches in that groove there. very, very fast deployment. Nice solid detent. And one thing I really love, I mean, this flip's just so awesome. I love the jimping that they put on their flipper tabs on these models. It's perfect. I mean, it really catches your finger. Like, I don't think I've ever slipped off this flipper. It's just, oh, I guess right there I did. I jinxed myself. That's awesome. It just flies out. But yeah, really, really smooth. Darker hardware, I noticed. The screws here are a little bit darker. Only a little bit. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. But pretty much same design, everything else. They both have these big, thick thumb stud blade stops. Some people have been able to deploy with the thumb studs. I have a little bit of trouble with it, getting it to deploy comfortably. I just don't even try. It's really a challenge for me. Flipping it works every time. It's just a great, great design. Love it. Yep, very, very nice. So real solid, really well built. Everything that the other ones have, this one has, in my opinion. You know, it doesn't have as much color, and like I said, lighting's probably not picking this up. The District 9A had like a bronze anodization, more like gold actually. This one has a really subtle purple. You might see it on, I did a review on this knife, so you might see it better on that review. And then you have like a bronze anodization on the backspacer and on the pocket clip. So, but it's still really subtle colors on the anodization there. So, you know, it's not like you're missing out on something really bright and loud if you go with this option. And it is cool that they give you two options. If you don't want the dark stone wash on the blade, you can get it with just standard satin, silver and stone wash. So pretty cool knife, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions. Oh yeah, last minute. The only real criticism I have on this that I think that Reate should have done, they already contoured the handle, and it's kind of almost funny. The inside of the handles all the way around has a really thin, small chamfer. You see that? There's no like 90-degree edge on there. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus. But you flip to the outside, and you got an edge, a very uncomfortable edge. It goes all the way around, so the entire handle has a really uncomfortable hot spot around it, just like the other ones did. Okay, if you really grip on it really hard, it's not that comfortable in the hand, really. And I was thinking, because this is contoured, this is going to be a home run. Nope. They really should have put a nice. They should have rounded off this sharp edge all the way around, kind of like what you see here. See that? They should have just done that, and instead of stopping it right there, they should have just kept on trucking. Go all the way around. That would have been badass. So it would have been so much more comfortable. So I'm gonna kind of play with this. I may end up doing it myself, and then just maybe media blast it and then stone wash it. See if I can get the same finish, because this finish looks awesome. I don't want to ruin it. But yeah, I think that's the only real miss. Otherwise, this knife is a win. And I gotta tell you, I think they're going for about 270 bucks retail. And for that price, I think it's pretty competitive for what you're getting, especially compared to some of the other Reate releases that they've had, especially some of the collabs that they do, like with like Liang Ma and stuff like that. You know, I haven't done any reviews yet. I have a couple, but I think those are like way overpriced when you compare to other knives. Do I think it's worth it because of, you know, the collaboration? When you just consider the collaboration alone, maybe. It's a really good knife that they're offering, and some of the other ones that they've done are really good, but it starts to lose its luster for me because you're not getting that awesome value that you normally get from a Reate knife. And this one still maintains that value, in my opinion. I think the Liang Ma Warrior 1 was like I think it was like $350 or something stupid like that. Just crazy, and it doesn't have near as much going on. You know, it's got less materials, which isn't necessarily bad, but when you consider actually manufacturing or you know, creating something like this, you have way more materials, you have way more detail, way more going on. You have milling out of the insides of the handles, just so much more going on here, and you know, a lot more finish work going into this, and it's like almost $100 less. So again, it's all relative to what you're, you know, what you're comparing it to, and I still think that the Reate Plus version here is offering a really good amount of value. So thanks again for watching, and you all have a good night.